Hi, everybody. It's Nicole. We are here with Helena Carrera and Lisa Miller. They are victim advocacy coordinators for the 79th Judicial District Attorney's Office in Jim Wells and Brooks County. So, welcome, ladies. We're happy to have you.
Thank
They're
you.
going to talk to us about some of the services that are provided. Do you want me to go ahead and read your introduction, or do you want to just introduce yourselves? Whatever you prefer.
You can read it and then just kind of go from there.
Perfect. So Helena Carrera is a victim advocacy coordinator.
Let me correct. The name is pronounced Elna.
Elna.
Yes, H is silent. That's fine.
Silent.
Everybody
you have to put in hyphens how to say it for us. Just kidding.
Not a problem, but that's
so I got the last name right?
The last name is correct, yes.
Okay, good. So Elna Carrera. Elna works as a project advocate for the Rio Grande Valley Empowerment Zone Corporation, where she provided crime victim services throughout Jim Wells, Brooks, Clayburgh, and Duval counties. Elna also served the community while working with the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Office in Brooks County. In October of 2019, Elna was brought into the Crime Victim Services Division to assist with providing additional crime victim services through a newly awarded grant from the Texas Governor's Office. So welcome, Elna. And we also have Lisa Miller, Victims Advocacy Coordinator. In November of 2019, Lisa was brought in through a newly awarded grant from the Texas Governor's Office. She came to the District Attorney's Office with a strong accounting and business management background. Lisa's helped develop a crime victim service process that tracks the many state and federal measures required by the grant funding sources and assisted the coordinators in providing services to crime victims. In January of 2021, Lisa transitioned to a legal assistant position within the District Attorney's Office, where she assists in preparing indictments for grand jury, assisting with the preparation of criminal cases for trial, and preparing motions to revoke probation. In April of 2022, Lisa accepted the Victims Advocacy Coordinator position brought by the Office of the Attorney General, where she assists in providing additional crime victim services within Jim Wells and Brooks County. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it, and we're really excited to learn more. So without further ado, I will go ahead and hand it over.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Do you want to start?
So whenever there is a crime, of course, our priority is to service our victims. The main priority is trying to get a victim with domestic violence relocated, protective orders, restraining, peace bonds, whatever they may need. Also, we try to expand the services to counseling for their children and for themselves if they were all involved and the children saw any of the crime. There are a lot of other information that we provide to them throughout the process, because it does take a long time to bring a case to like to court or to trial. So in the process of all that, we provide monthly or weekly information to our victims regarding case updates, of course, our CVC application, so that way they can start getting assistance right away. Those are some of our services. We do go over and beyond because some of our victims depend on us and they just kind of call us to let us know how they're feeling. And we go from there. And of course, we do our referrals for them.
Yeah, and like Elna said, we offer all of these different services, counseling and relocation. And she mentioned the Crime Victims Compensation Program. It's programmed through the Attorney General's Office that basically assists with reimbursement of funds for relocation, like she mentioned, for counseling. We can set up counseling services, and depending on the the location of where the services are being held, the counseling sessions, they may work. We have this one that works with us really closely that they don't even bill the victim. They get paid directly from the Attorney General's office because they're able to have that relationship with them as well. Our goal is to minimize the amount of upfront expenses as much as possible, just so that way these victims know, especially if it's like a domestic violence or a family violence case, there's there's a way for them to get out and they don't feel, well, I can't because of finances. With the Crime Victims Compensation Program, it helps a lot with the reimbursement of, some of them require the reimbursement of funds, but like the counseling, like I said, we could usually get that set up beforehand and have it just streamlined that way between the location of the services versus with the Attorney General's office. I don't know what else.
Pretty
I
much.
have a question.
Yeah.
What type of victims are you working with? Like what are the types of I guess charges they're being held, or
The victimizations,
yes.
We service anybody who's a victim of crime, especially sexual assault, be it child, adult, family violence, physical assault, physical abuse of a child and or of an adult. We also do survivors of homicide. If we have somebody who has been, murdered or whatever, we take that on board as well. We also do hate crimes, and of course, we provide the victims with the protective order right away if they come to us.
And during this whole process as well, we really, really take to heart our accompaniment, so they don't feel like they're alone. If possible, both Elna and I go together. That's why we kind of do everything together.
Team, yes. Mm-hmm.
Just because we want for them to feel like they have that full support system. So whenever they do have, Elna assists them with applying for the protective order, just down the hall from us at the county attorney's office, we get a copy of their temporary ex parte, and on there has the date of their actual protective order hearing. So we'll put that on our calendar and we'll call them like the day before and be like, don't forget, you have to have this hearing tomorrow. And a lot of them, as should be, they're afraid, they're worried. Is the guy going to be here? Is he going to be outside? Is he going to be, waiting for me? So what we do is we, like she said, we go above and beyond. So during the protective order hearings, it's really good when we're both here, because we're literally, it's kind of like a shield. So I'm on one side, Elna's on the other side, and our victim is in the middle. And we just kind of just stand there for emotional support and let them know, when we can see that they're kind of getting a little antsy, we're like, just breathe, everything's fine. We're right here. And then after the protective order hearing, if they still feel uncomfortable, we'll walk them downstairs all the way to the front doors of the courthouse. And either one of our investigators in our office will walk down with us, or we have the security at the entrance of the courthouse that will actually walk us with them straight to their vehicle to the point to they're driving off, and we're still outside, just to make sure that they leave here safely.
Do you how are you referred to assist victims? Is it like what is the referral process like?
How we get our reports come to our investigator on a daily basis. Then our assistant clerk reviews them and she sends them to us. We look at them, and that is a point where we make contact with the victim.
So now what we're trying to do is we're almost reaching out to victims within the week that the crime was committed.
So I've got a question here. What do you recommend for victims who continue to go back to their abuser, staying for days? What happens to the protective order?
Well, you know that a protective order works both ways. If the offender reaches out, he is in violation. And if the victim reaches out, or even if she speaks to them, she is in violation. We emphasize that to our victims, but it takes 6 to 7 times for a victim of domestic violence to finally say, this is it, I'm leaving him. But, we try our very best to discourage our victims to go back to their abuser. A lot of times I know that it is, financial. The offender is the only one that works. So I can understand where a partner or a wife may feel like, what am I going to do? I have 3 children. I have no income. So they turn to going back to them. We try to discourage it. That's why we follow up. Like, we even go to the housing together to try to get their application going so that they can get into a place within a week or 2.
a lot of the times as well, I think it's, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say that it's best practice with the county attorney's office when they do come and apply for a protective order. I know that that's one of the questions that they ask. Do you live with this person who has committed this crime? Are you going to be leaving, or is he or she going to be leaving? Because it's not always the females that are victims. We have men that are victims as well. So that's one of the questions that they ask, who's leaving? So they kind of put it out there with the expectation that one of y'all is going to have to go in order for this to work. But it, like Helna says, the statistic is 6 to 7 times before they actually, stay away completely and move on with their lives. We had a victim last week, and she was initially one of my victims. Both Helna and I accompanied her to her protective order hearing. She was great. She was on the right path. Everything was going good. She was moving forward with her life. Hit a bump in a road for what seemed to be an issue that should have been resolved with family support, but because it wasn't there, she dropped the protective order and went back because of the situation at hand. I don't want to go into detail, but I mean, it happens, and we witness it happen, and we do our best. It just so happened that I was on Zoom court that morning. So when she was here, the county attorney's office called and said, hey, she's wanting to drop the protective order. I looked at Helna, thank God Helna was here, and I said, well, I'll stay on Zoom court. Will you please go meet with her and do whatever you can to try to keep her from dropping it? But unfortunately, there was nothing we could do. We're still in contact with her. Even more when they drop, we know that they dropped the protective orders. Even more, we're in contact with them.
There's a lot of factors to a victim. It's not only financial, like this victim, it was lack of family support, and she needed help caring for her children, and his family is the one that helps her the most. So that
once the protective order is dropped, are they still eligible for services, or would they have to
With us, they are eligible. The protective order is null and void if they drop it completely. So it's like if they call the police, they're having a domestic violence, they call the police, they're not going to have that protective order that will say to the cops, hey, you're under arrest for violating the protective order. It's going to start anew, a new report. And I don't know about granting another protective order. That's totally up to the county attorney.
And how
services with us and in our office, they do not stop. No. We continue on with services. And there are some, we'll always advocate for them no matter what. This one person, for example, instead of putting her on a monthly follow-up, we're putting her on a weekly, just because we want to make sure that she's okay and nothing else has happened. So this happened last week. We're actually, I think, scheduled to call her tomorrow. So because tomorrow is 1 week since she was here. So yeah, we put them on a more frequent follow-up plan in our computer system.
I have another question in the chat. Oh, okay. Sorry to interrupt. The question in the chat says, how long is the protective order good for?
For 2 years.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Ladies, good afternoon. My name is Sandra Barrera. I'm a CASA advocate.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi. I have a question. As a CASA advocate, and in a case that I would have, if both parents are not supposed to be because they have the protective order against them, and if you all know more, do you know firsthand that they're visiting each other? Would I be able, as a CASA advocate, come to you and say, I want to know if parents that are not supposed to be together, and if you all have that information, have you ever been approached by a CASA advocate to give me that information?
We have never been approached. I believe if you wanted to know that information, you could get that information from the county attorney's office, as they're the ones that do the protective orders. All we do is we assist if they need help filling out the protective order application. We had a only Spanish speaking family, come the other day, and I didn't even tell Helna, she wasn't here to save me on that one because my Spanish is a little off. But they asked me, could you assist with them writing it out, because their education was very minimal, and I would explain to them what I needed, what the question was on the paper. They would let me know, and then I would just write it out for them. So we assist with the applying, we assist with the accompaniment, but when it comes into legal detail, that would be through the county attorney's office, unfortunately.
But
And
at times,
Go
but
ahead,
at
Sandra.
times at times you all, as the victims of crime, you represent the mother or the father, right? Either one parent that has that protective order. And as you stated, it works both ways. Is there times that you are aware that there's still communication and they shouldn't? I think that's why I wanted, sometimes we have cases that they're not supposed to be talking to each other or being together. And even though they're being helped through the victims of crime or being told there is an avenue to help you, Purple Door or other ones, I just wanted to know if there's times that you all are aware that they are still seeing the person that they're not supposed to be having any contact with. That's
And some of my cases, they let it be known because
okay.
there is a form that is called the non-prosecution affidavit. If domestic violence victim decides that they want to drop the charges, it is their choice. They can come and they sign that affidavit, and it's saying that they want to drop it. It doesn't mean that the state's going to drop it. It's just saying that they do not want to be cooperating with us, in that avenue.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have another question in the chat. It says, does your organization have emergency housing in Alice, Benbolt, San Diego, Kingsville, or is it in Corpus?
Unfortunately, it's Corpus. We go through for emergency shelter. We go through the Purple Door, and they're another amazing resource that we work really closely with. And we can call. This is not all I don't want to put the expectation out there, but there have been times that we call and they're here within 30 minutes to assist us with whatever we need. Yes. But unfortunately, the nearest shelter is Corpus. Okay. Now, if they're just needing housing options, Helna mentioned earlier the housing authority here in Alice. We have accompanied victims even to just go pick up the application because they're afraid. So we'll go, we'll help them, if they have a question on it, they'll text us or call us. Yes. We'll kind of direct them on the answering of those questions. Then once they, thank God we were able to build a relationship with the housing authority as well. Once they turn in the application, we ask them to let us know. Then we'll call them and tell them, look, this victim just turned in her application. She's being serviced by Crime Victim Services out of our office. She also has a protective order or is in the process of getting a protective order. This is what we're doing for them. And apparently they're like on some sort of point system. Again, don't quote me on that one. But once they have, they're going to pursue with charges. They get higher up on the list. Mm-hmm. They have nowhere, they're homeless. They get higher up on the list.
Protective
orders. Yes. Every service, I guess, is one of those, show me that you're wanting to help yourself, and then, we'll assist in helping as well.
I have gotten victims into housing in as little as 7 days. That's the fastest that I have ever done it. It does take some time. Sometimes it does take longer depending on the situation of the victimization.
Yes, and we also had a shared victim also who actually fled her offender from another city and came home to her family's house and came and did a protective order. And within, I want to say 2 weeks, she's now already in her own. Before she even came for her actual protective order hearing, she had moved in that weekend before.
We also provide letters of waivers for electricity, gas, water, for utilities. Our office will give them that, and usually the
deposit is waived.
The deposit is waived.
I have another question. What if you're working with somebody that is on middle class or on the higher economic status? Are you still able to assist with those things, or how does that affect your ability to help and assist if they have more income than
Income doesn't matter.
A victim is a victim no matter your status.
Great.
Yeah, we help with anybody, anywhere, anytime. You know,
If they're
we're
a
here to-
victim.
Yes, we're here to assist with any victim.
I have another question in the chat. How many individuals utilize these services on a monthly basis? Or better yet, how many applications are you all completing on a monthly basis?
What type of application?
What type of
For all
application?
services.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I've got to wait for them to respond. What type of application, Jen? Because they're doing a lot of different applications, protective order applications, crime victims compensation applications, assistance.
So as far as
negotiating.
maybe we can just kind of answer across the board.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Broad
like
answer,
as far as how many victims do we service per month, I'd say jointly we probably about 100
About 100, yes.
100
Wow.
victims a month.
Yes, because our reports go to our governor's grant officers every 3 months.
Yes.
So, I mean, easily I serve 300 every quarter.
Yeah.
So on a monthly basis, it would be around 100.
And I know that Elna went through a list of victimizations, and those are just some. I mean, there's
More.
there's so many types of victimizations out there. So if you have someone who is a victim of crime, let us know.
Yes.
Because we will either way, if they're a victim of any type of crime, we'll be able to assist them in one way or another. There's always some sort of avenue to go down. Now, as far as assisting with protective order applications, that usually comes with the county attorney's office. We usually get those. We have a very good working relationship with them as well. So when they have a new victim in their office applying for a protective order, they'll call Elna and I, and they'll say, can one of you come over and offer services? And depending who's less busy that day, because we've got tons of calls, we'll just
We'll
kind
just
of,
take
and
it.
we just bring the information to the others. Our goal is to target all of the victims together. There's no Elna and Lisa. We do this together.
Yes.
I have a question regarding crime victims compensation applications. What are they used for, and what type of compensation do they receive? And is it ongoing or just one time?
I'm sorry, you cut out. You cut out for a
Is it
little bit.
what?
Regarding crime victims compensation applications, what type of compensation are they receiving, and is it ongoing or just one time? How does that work?
It's more of a reimbursement type thing, like I had mentioned earlier. So what it covers is it just depends on what type of crime. So if there's any type of expenses incurred directly because of a crime. So let's use a physical abuse type case. So there's a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case might be. The report states that the victim was beat up so badly they ended up in the hospital. They sought out medical attention. So right there's expenses incurred. So we'll fill out a crime victims compensation application for them. And when we submit that to the Office of the Attorney General, we also try to submit a bill from the hospital, and the Attorney General's office will in turn send payment to them for that bill for the services. We also with that, it assists with relocation. Elna's a little bit more educated on that part with relocation, because she's done that part longer than I have.
So relocation, reimbursement, we reimburse for moving expenses. And of course, I've already mentioned the waiver of the utilities. And then the crime victims compensation pays 3 months of $650 of rent. So the victim is encouraged to find something within that means if they don't want to pay anymore.
I'm sorry, you're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. I heard rent.
I'm sorry, and
You're
okay.
kind of cutting in and out a little.
Okay, so the crime victims compensation pays for 3 months of your rent so that you can get back on your feet, up to $650 a month. So the victim is encouraged to try to find something around that price, so that way they won't have to be paying anymore out of their pocket. We also cover funeral expenses. The CVC application covers funeral expenses up to $6,500 for a basic funeral. You know, that's part of, it's a flat fee that they do, you know, when somebody is murdered or is a victim of crime, and the end result is the person being deceased.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, it's just this easy, this simple. While Elna was speaking, my work phone went off, and it's one of my victims, and she's out. She said, "Hey, Lisa, just wanted to let you know I just received a bill from the hospital. What do I do with it?" And I just told her, "Hi, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. Please bring me a copy of it or email it to me, and I'll submit it." So I've already submitted the crime victims compensation application for her. It's already been approved and everything. Now it's just a matter of sending in any expenses that she's incurred, and that'll get reimbursed. So it's that simple, guys. This program is,
It's here to help our
it's
victims.
amazing. It literally is life-saving.
Okay, great. Any other questions, people? You can say them out loud and put them in the chat. And
That's why we kind of kept our part kind of short, so that way we could open up for
Oh
questions.
yeah, I've got another one in the chat. How long does it take a case of abuse, be it neglect, physical or sexual, of a child to go to court? Also, how closely do you all work with CPS?
Okay. Unfortunately, the wheels of justice move very slowly, but please rest assured they are moving, especially, and I am firsthand person who highly dislikes people blaming COVID for stuff. But unfortunately, due to the fact that we're unable to go to trial because we're just now trying to get back to it, that's not on our office. So as far as a time frame, it just
varies.
depends.
I mean, 2 years up to 3, 4. It will not happen fast. And a lot of it is an investigation coming in from the police department to us, and then our own investigator will investigate. And then it finally goes to one of our assistant DAs who looks at it, and then she presents it to grand jury, and then either they bill it or they no bill it. That means accept it or not. And then once that gets done, it's presented for a pre-trial jury selection. And sometimes not enough jurors come in that are acceptable, and it goes back to being reset. And it can be reset 2, 3, 4 times.
It just depends on it's at the judge's discretion.
Yes.
And do you guys work with CPS?
We don't have a working relationship with them, but that's another organization that we're wanting to build on. We're just really trying to. It's tough because
Yes,
we
it
have victims coming in, and we have those that are coming off of offense reports. We're so busy making phone calls, and these relationships are important to us, but our victimization comes first. And that's why little things like this, like Zoom meetings and stuff, are super important because they're simple, they're convenient, and they're efficient.
Informative also.
Yeah.
We do have multidisciplinary meetings held once a month where we do meet with CPS. They come in and they give us information on new victims that have come directly to them. And a lot of the times we have the reports already, and a lot of the times we don't. So we jump on it and we try to reach out to our victims.
Great. I have another question in the chat. What is the difference between a protective order and a criminal trespass and harassment warning?
A criminal what? I'm sorry?
Criminal trespass and harassment warning.
I don't think
I've never heard
dealt
of one
with that.
of those.
Okay.
But the protective order,
protective orders are directly, they relate directly to victims of physical abuse, family violence. Let's say somebody's getting a threat over text. That's not gonna justify a protective order. They're gonna have to go to their JP to try to get a restraining order against the person that is threatening them, or a peace bond.
yes.
And that's through your local JP.
Depending on the jurisdiction.
Yes.
I've got another question. I know that you mentioned this, but if you can please let us know again, what makes you a qualifying victim for these services? Example, sexual assault, but what else?
No,
As
well,
far as what services, babe? Like our services here?
Correct.
As long as they're a victim of crime, babe, we'll take care of them one way or another. I mean, so the way the process is, like Elna mentioned, the way the processes start is a crime is committed. Law enforcement is called out, whether that be Alice Police Department or the Jim Wells County Sheriff's Office. Every morning, our chief investigator receives a daily report of the arrests and calls from the night before or from the day before. Then he goes through that, and anything that is a crime that we can service, and it's not like a juvenile crime, like juveniles were messing around at the stadium or whatever the case might be. As long as it's a crime where there's a victim, he'll in turn send a request to the police department for those full offense reports. Once those offense reports come into our office, they are sent to our assistant who reviews them, puts them into our computer system, and emails them to Elna and I. Then we go through the offense report, we read it, and we reach out to the victim. So, I mean, you can have an offense from a hate crime all the way up to murder.
Yes, up to murder, family violence, physical abuse of a child, physical abuse of an elderly person, physical assault on, a man or a woman or even a child.
Aggravated robbery.
The person gets hurt. In essence, any person who is a victim of crime.
Does there have to be a police report on file to qualify?
Yes.
Yes. And then I have another question. Are police officers able to issue an emergency protective order when the officer is at a home on a domestic violence call?
Say that one more time. You could. Is it in the chat? Can we read it?
Yeah, you can open it up. Are police officers able to issue emergency protective orders when they're at a home on a domestic violence call?
No, ma'am, they're not. All they can do is they can recommend to come to the county attorney's office to apply for a protective order. And usually we'll read that in offense reports that the officer does advise them to reach out to the county attorney's office for an application. Something that they can do, I've seen them do, is if it's like a family violence type crime, the person is arrested, the offender is arrested. They'll ask for like a 72-hour hold on the person,
on the offender. That way, the victim has a chance to come the very next business day to our county attorney and file their protective order.
Yes.
There's another one on there. You want me to read it or you got it?
We got it.
Is it the now that legislation from Jody? Yes. That's more of a legal standpoint, and I don't know if Miss Marisol is on with us, if she was able to get on. Yes, she is.
She is.
Miss Marisol, are you available to speak then to answer that question?
I'm going to read it out loud just for those that are on the recording. Okay. Now that legislation has passed a law stating that domestic violence is considered child abuse, are there more severe punishments for domestic violence? That's a good question.
Yes. I see that Miss Marisol is on. I'm not sure if she has audio capability right now.
But that's a question for, our assistant DA.
Yes.
I mean, we can get it back to you all because really, I don't know. I mean,
I don't have the answer to that question, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Jody.
Oh, I got a lot of them.
I'm sorry. Yes.
So the next one is there a time frame that you have in order to apply? Example, if there was a domestic violence case in 2019, can they still apply for services, or is there a cutoff date?
I mean, I know that there are.
Domestic violence does have a time frame, but it's years. I'm not quite sure. I know that there is no time frame for any kind of sexual assault. I don't know. I guess I would have to ask Marisol.
Yes, that would be another Ms. Marisol question. Anything on a more legal standpoint?
Is their forte?
Yeah. I mean, any of these questions that would come in from any of our victims, we always reach out to Ms. Marisol. She's the expert on that part.
So if the perpetrator is arrested and then bonds out, is the victim notified that the perpetrator was released from jail?
Yes, we do attempt, we try our very best to check the jail roster on a daily basis. We have several people here. As a matter of fact, Miss Marisol's legal assistant, Valerie, she is also really good at keeping up with stuff like that.
Yes.
Between the three of us, one of us will find out, and we let the victim know as soon as possible. And usually, I know the officers are really good about. I know that Jim Wells County is really good about that as well. They'll let them know, hey, just want to let you know, so and so is fixing to get out of jail, within the next 24 hours or day or hours or whatever the case might be. I know they've done that for victims in the past. Ms. Marisol says that she's having audio issues. She'll address any legal issues that come up in this training in a memo and send it out to all of y'all.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ms. Marisol.
So on here it talks about how you help implement a safety plan. Do you work with the Purple Door for that, or do you guys do that in-house?
We work with the Purple Door, and we do work in-house. We have some brochures that give our victim tips on how to be safe and to be aware. It's really just basic information, but we just hand it out to them so that they can, be reassured.
And with all of our victims, we have made it a best practice to create, especially if they're a first-time victim, we create a safety plan with them. And it can be as detailed or general as possible, as need be. And every time we follow up with them, we always reiterate the safety plan. At the very end of our conversations, we always let them know, Helna, don't forget that our safety plan, make sure you stick with it. If they ended up moving with their family, parents or whatever, we always let them know, please make sure everyone in the house is in on the safety plan to do. So everyone always has a safety plan after we first speak with them. And then we just kind of reiterate that every time we follow up with them.
I have another question regarding the kids we serve. So I don't know if you're familiar with the program, but our volunteers.
I'm sorry, what was it called?
Can you hear me?
No, the what?
Oh, I was just going to say, our volunteers advocate for abused and neglected kids in foster care, right? So they're already in the system. We're working with CPS to speak up on behalf of them and their families. How can our children qualify for services if they're removed and they're, in the care of the state? Are they able to still try to receive services in that regard on their own, being that they're in the care of the state? How would that work? Is it possible?
I have not come across something like that. Is it possible?
That's another question that we can find out the answer to, and we get back to you, because there has to be some kind of guardian claimant, because a child's a child.
And
right.
they would need to have someone who would be, we offer support groups and counseling to all of our victims. We just offer it, period, no matter what. So we would have to have some sort of home advocate for them who would be willing to take them to their counseling appointments, take them to
the CASA advocate. How, I don't know how much a CASA advocate can do, but like if we were to set up counseling, would the CASA advocate be able to take the child from the foster home to the counseling sessions?
And maybe that's something that we can bridge with y'all.
Yes.
And come up with some sort of practice there.
And they do have counseling services within their within the department. But I was thinking about like crime victims compensation applications. A lot of our kids witness severe domestic violence. They've been through a whole lot, and even some of our teenagers that are getting ready to age out, they could definitely use some assistance in that regard. So that's kind of where my mind went. That was kind of where my mind went. Just getting that assistance with like maybe crime victims compensation. I thought that would be beneficial.
Yes, as long as I think
we can do the referral.
Yeah, we can do the referral to crime victims compensation. Everybody can fill out a crime victims compensation application. We submit it to the Attorney General's office. We'll submit an offense report with it, and the Attorney General's office will send the victims a letter, whether with their approval or whatever the case might be, however they
Most
made
of
the
time.
decision. And most of the time it's an approval, and then go from there. But it doesn't just stop there. I know that the Purple Door also deals with more of the domestic violence and family violence. So if they're a victim of domestic violence and family violence, and it's something that for whatever slim reason we're unable to assist with, we have the Purple Door at our right hand.
Yes.
And within them too, within a week or two, they already have their first session scheduled.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we're getting close to that 1 hour mark. Does anyone else have any questions? Jody, I
Jody's-
see. I
Come
see
on,
you
Jody's
pointing.
motioning. Jody's motioning.
You can unmute yourself.
I typed it in the chat.
I don't see it.
If we have questions about a victim, will we be able to get information from the DA's office as long as we can provide the case assignment letter?
That's a Marisol question. I'm not too sure how that works.
Yeah,
But I'm sure she's got a long list going right now.
CASA volunteers have a court order from the judge that allows us access to the child. We are able to get documentation regarding the children from law enforcement, doctors, therapists, teachers, anyone regarding that case. So we do have a court order. So I'm thinking we might be able to, I don't know.
Yes, ma'am. That would, as long as we can run that by either Miss Marisol, she's obviously one of the assistant district attorneys who handles these types of cases with children, with domestic violence, any type of those type of crimes. Or we could also meet with Carlos, our district attorney, and he'll be able to
Clear it up.
clear it up on the moment.
Awesome. And yeah, because we also advocate for parents. We're here for the best interest of kids, but our parents need to be healthy and they need to have services in order to be the best parents they can. So yeah, that's really important. Anyone else have questions or anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to add something. Following up to Jody, had to do that years ago, so you are able to do that, Jody.
Oh, good. Thank you. I came onto the DA's office in 2019, and Helna was just 1 month before me. So
first and foremost, confidentiality is of the utmost important with us, so that's why we kind of said, let's clear this up and get a positive and something that would let y'all know,
We get it. Yeah, we're
yes.
we don't want to say something and for it to be incorrect.
Yes.
And do you guys work with BACA?
I am familiar with them when I used to work with the other entity. I think I dealt with them like in three cases in Brooks County. I know that I've never mentioned it to Marisol, but I know they are a great resource as well,
And they're there. There's BACA members there in Alice.
Yes,
So,
yes, there
let
is.
me know. I'll give you his number. He's ready.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
most
thank
definitely.
you.
Yes, okay. Well, I mean that's I guess it for all of our questions and everything. So we're
And
really grateful for you
I just
guys.
kind of want to share
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I guess a success report.
Yes.
One of our victims that I told you had just texted me. I asked her how things were going and if she was staying safe. And it's times like this that make Helna and I super humbled by what we do, because she said, yes, this morning I actually did CrossFit at 5 a.m. And this is a victim of domestic violence. And she could barely walk when she came in here. And this was not even a month ago.
Correct.
And now she's pushing herself to go and do CrossFit and not stop her life because of what happened to her. And she was in this situation for 13 years of her life. And she chose to survive. So it's always good when we have text messages like that.
Yes.
So I just
Positive.
wanted to share that with y'all.
Positive.
It's not always it's emotionally stressful, but what we do is for messages like that.
Yes. Well, thank you for everything you do. I mean, I got the chills with that one. I mean, that is a lot on your caseload, and the fact that you guys are doing such an amazing job juggling everything. We're really, really grateful for you guys, and thank you so much for coming and speaking to us today. We appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you as well,
Thank
and we
you.
really, really look forward to working with you on a more closely basis. I know Sandra Barrera personally, so I know that I can reach out to her if I ever need any information.
Yes, anytime. We're always available. And maybe as you know, maybe later on as we get more advocates, we can get together again and do another presentation.
Yes.
I love it. So everybody who's here on the call, volunteers, I'll be putting this in Optima for you. If you're watching this later on the recording, make sure you enter this in Optima for your volunteer training. And I see everyone in here is just saying, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Helna, you sound like Sylvia. Laugh out loud.
Jody, Sylvia's my sister. Yes. You all were super friends with Armando and Sylvia. Yes.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
everybody, thank you
Yes.
all so much and have a great day.
Nicole, you have our email addresses, so you're more than welcome to share them with all of your advocates.
Yes, please. And our phone numbers?
Yes. She has my cell phone number. I can always email you, or we can even give it to y'all. We can give it to y'all on here.
Yeah, you can put it, I can put it in the chat.
Okay.
My number is 361-219-3625.
Okay, and then Lisa?
Yes. Hold on, I just got this phone, so it's 361-846-0971.
All right, so I went ahead and put the numbers in the chat if you guys want to write those down. And we will see you all next time.
Righty,
No
thank
problem.
you.
Nicole, if you don't mind, if you'll send me a list of everyone that was on the call today, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely, I'll send it right now.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.